What's good, y'all? So today we'll be doing something I've been waiting to do for a long time, which is a testament to the day and age that we live in. Not too many times do I hear things on the TV or on the radio where I just shake my head and I just say it's a damn shame people get to get away with crime out here in these streets and on the airways. They would literally lie to get their point across or just to win an argument, and nobody on the show ever fact checks them. Now, well, today I will be giving you guys a small sample size of most major media networks that cover basketball, and I'll be showing you why you must take everything these pundits say with a grain of salt. Now, I will never say that my word is final and that I'm never wrong, so I always invite all of you to go back and fact check me, watch tape, and learn the game so you are better equipped to understand it, and I'm sure that all of you guys love. Alright, now the reason that this video will cover so many different pundits is just to show you that almost every single one of these guys and gals, will say X, Y, and Z just to win an argument. Now, they may have been misinformed, or they may have just straight up lied and know that most people are too lazy or too trusting to go do their own homework and check them. Now, I understand that most of you all have lives, whether it's school, a job, kids, etc., which makes it hard to go, have time to go back and check. And I invite you guys to even fact check me on my own videos so we can always hold each other accountable. Now, first things first, I want to thank all the loyal subs, and I invite you guys to follow me on Twitter at TheBlackRanger X for more updates and whatnot. Also, to all of you newbies, definitely do yourself a favor and click that subscribe button so that you are always receiving the best NBA content on the planet delivered fresh to your mobile device. I'm about to eat this ish, my G, man. Let's just get it.
Here's a very interesting stat, Joy. I don't know if you know this, Joy, because this was, you were young, you little thing running around there getting on Jason nerves. I'm sure of that. All those championships, those 6 championship seasons, guess who led them in assists? One, Scottie Pippen. LeBron James have yet to play on a team in which he has not led the team in scoring and assists. That's 15 up, 15 down. So the numbers are going to look a little skewed because now it's an offensive game now and guys have gaudy stats. But there's no question in my mind that Michael Jordan had a better supporting cast than what LeBron James has.
On May 8th, 2018, Shannon Sharpe, he claimed that Michael Jordan had more help than LBJ, and also states that LBJ never played with an all-star teammate for more than 4 years at once. Now, he also stated that Michael Jordan in each of those 6 championship seasons never led the team in scoring and assists. And I just said, hold up. That is a bold-faced lie. And it is clear that he either didn't do his due diligence, or his research guy didn't pull the right stats, or he didn't phrase it properly, because in the 1990-1991 playoffs, Michael Jordan averaged 31.1 points per game while dishing out 8.4 assists, while Scottie Pippen played 1 more minute per game, averaged 21.6 points per game, and 5.8 assists per game. That's 1 year. In 1992-1993, in those playoffs, Jordan averaged 35.1 points per game and 6 assists per game, while Scottie averaged 20.1 and 5.6 assists per game, while Michael once again did it in less playing time. In the 1996-1997 playoffs, Michael Jordan averaged 31.1 points per game on 4.8 assists per game, while Scottie averaged 19.2 points per game on 3.8 assists per game. So that is 3 straight up, excuse my French, whole ass championship years that we're gonna lie about? Come on, man. He also stated that LeBron James has yet to play on a team in which he has not led the team in scoring and assists. Is that true? Well, if we check history, we actually see that for the playoffs in 2010-2011, LeBron James averaged 23.7 points per game on 5.9 assists per game, which are great numbers, by the way. But it was Dwayne Wade who led the Heat in scoring that playoffs with 24.5 points per game and 4.4 assists. Now, in 2003-2004, in LBJ's rookie year, Jeff McInnes, I'm sure a lot of you guys might not know who that is, Jeff McInnes averaged 7.5 assists per game to LeBron's 5.9. So in that one little rant he had there were about 5 instances that just got erased from NBA history. Never happened, I guess. Okay, well, look, man, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack in the comments from these fanboys about me picking playoff stats and regular season stats. Well, look, this is what happens when you open yourself up to just saying all-inclusive statements like what Shannon Sharpe stated. I'd also like to say that Shannon Sharpe loves insinuating that LBJ's departure has more of an impact than MJ's does, and he also always seems to mention how the 1993-1994 Bulls, they won 55 games when Jordan immediately left. However, he and many others, they always seem to fail to mention how in the following season the Bulls struggled making it to the All-Star break with a 23-25 record. MJ came back and they finished the year at 47-35, which means that upon his arrival they went 24-10 along with a second-round exit from the Orlando Magic. It's just funny how we fail to bring this up in arguments. Now, everybody who has watched or has read anything about the 93-94 Bulls know, they just know. Those Bulls were determined to prove something to the world, and they were just more than Michael Jordan. And they performed similarly to how a candle would, right? The flame always flickers most violently before it goes out. And we saw that in the 94-95 season when they went to the All-Star break sub 500. However, people failed to bring this up. He also stated that when LBJ left the Heat, they missed the playoffs the subsequent year. Now, while this is true, we never bring up how Chris Bosh missed 38 games with his blood clot condition that year, which proved to be career-ending, as well as D. Wade lighting up the Cavs for 31 in their win against LBJ on Christmas Day, and how the following season Dwayne Wade took the Heat to the 7th game of the Eastern Conference semifinals, where they would ultimately lose to the DeRozan, Lowry, Toronto Raptors. But that's just it for Mr. Shannon James. I'm not going to go too much into that. Love Shay Sharpe, but we have to keep it real on that. He lies about some of these statements, and we just have to keep watch on that. Now with Mr. Cowherd, he is notorious for going after Westbrook, and at times when he's not making marriage references, he has made decent points, but on the most part, Cowherd is a hypocrite and is extremely selective with his harshness. Now on May 21st, 2018, first things first, my man said AD is the most athletic center in basketball history.
Basketball history. He is an elite shot blocker. He is an elite rebounder. He's an elite finisher at the rim. He's an elite defender. I get specifics with Anthony Davis. This is not, again, a vague, I can't quite figure out, gray, fuzzy statistical compilation. He is the best shot blocker in the league.
The fact that, number one, by any combine, eye test metrics, we can see that no, this is not true, a la Shaq, Wilt, David Robinson, etc. And the second part that he messed up on was the fact that he's actually a power forward and not a center. So this just tells you off rip, his basketball knowledge is very baseline at best, which if he was compared to power forwards, he still would not be, a la KG, Sean Kemp, Charles Barkley, etc. Now, he has Ben Simmons also as the number 5 best player in the world, where he specifically states that he does not need his players to be able to shoot.
There has never been a point guard this long, this strong, that rebounds like this, that has this court vision. He is the point guard of the future in this league. He can't shoot. I'm not asking all my players to do everything. I'm simply asking you to be specifically great at things. Ben Simmons, to me, is the 5th best basketball player in the world.
At number 7, both ahead of Westbrook, when at the time, both of them were unproven versions of what Westbrook does, which is being an athletic all-around player who rebounds, defends, passes, and can score, but is a limited shooter as well, as Westbrook playing in the West and having similar playoff success recently as both of those guys, as other guys he had ahead of him, which is just funny and just shows that he is very selective with his criteria. Now, in another scene on May 1st, 2017, let's just look at how he so slyly attempted to pretend that Larry Bird inherited some all-star team when he came into the league, stating that Larry inherited 3 good players, Cedric Maxwell, Tiny Archibald, and Dave Cowens. But what he fails to mention is that this same Celtics team before Larry Bird got there went 29-53.
Larry Bird inherited 3 good players, Cedric Maxwell, Tiny Archibald, and Dave Cowens, and within a year had 2 Hall of Famers, Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. But by year 3, Michael Jordan had Horace Grant, Charles Oakley, and a Hall of Famer, Scottie Pippen. 7 years into LeBron's career in Cleveland, the best player he had was Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
53. When Larry Bird came, he averaged 21.3 points per game, 10.4 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game, and led the Celtics to a 61-21 record. But oh yeah, he inherited a good team. Okay, this same good team that only won less than half of those games the year before. He also tried to throw in that Robert Parrish. He thought he was so slick with this. He tried to throw in that Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale came within a year to insinuate that Bird was laced with talent, and that's what put him on the same level of LeBron. That's what puts him beneath LeBron overall. However, Bird led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals as a rookie, putting up a double-double and doubling his team's win total upon his arrival. But no, I'm sure those two made Larry Bird into the legend that he is today. He also stated that by year 3, Michael Jordan received Horace Grant, Charles Barkley, and a Hall of Famer in Scottie Pippen. And this one, I was done. This man, judging by his tone, it was like he was insinuating that Scottie arrived in the box ready to go as a 21-7-5 guy, which was just not the case. Scottie's first All-Star appearance was in 1990, 3 years after his arrival, which isn't bad, but it's ludicrous to behave like Scottie came in ready to hoop and he only needed batteries to start. Now we have to remember that this is the same guy who stated that Kawhi Leonard is the second best two-way player in the world behind LeBron James when LBJ ranked 321st in player general defensive efficiency, according to NBA.com during the 2017-2018 year. Colin, while being known as one of the captains of the LeBron James nut-riding team, he has shown that he is very flippy-floppy on his opinions, even abandoning LeBron in years past. And check out what he was saying during the 2016 playoffs before the Cavs came back from being down 3-1. This man was...
We're seeing the LeBron that is 31, is not going to chase you down and block from behind.
I was like, oh, LeBron James is 31. Oh, he doesn't dunk as much. You're not going to get a 45-point night from him. Those days are over. Meanwhile, a couple of games later, LeBron drops 41 two more times in games 6 and 7, and awesome performances, I might add. Okay, so my question is this for all the people out there who swear by these guys, is why did this guy feel the need to jump ship like that? I could have sworn he started making these LeBron is too old narratives like 3 years earlier, and he's swearing up and down about how great this guy is. He even stated that LBJ is not going to chase you down and block from behind anymore, which is what LBJ does, or did at the time. And he had the chase down block of the decade in Game 7 on Iggy, which was one of the most clutch blocks in NBA history. Now, I'm not one to get on someone generally for an incorrect prediction, because that's just what these guys do. Their job is to make predictions on almost everything, and there's no way they're going to get everything right. However, I must point this out because it shows that even he doesn't believe in the guy that he's pushing as much as he wants you to perceive that he is. If so, he would have had an unwavering confidence in Bron finishing out that finals, and this is where he loses respect for me. And this basically is that he has so many double standards, and he makes so many bold, definitive predictions that turn out to be completely incorrect. In 2007, Nick Wright graduated with a journalism major from Syracuse University and worked at a smaller radio show in Kansas City, Missouri, his hometown. Now, The Pitch, a local newspaper, called him 610 Sports' most polarizing and likely most popular host, and he was named the best sports personality in 2010. Now, this was far before the Nick Wright we know today, who works for FS1 and is notorious for his far-reaching LBJ takes, and we'll come back to his humble beginnings later.
How did Jordan get past the bad boy Pistons? They got old. The year he finally beat them, they were a 48-win mediocre team. Jordan's first title. Oh, it was the Showtime Lakers. No, it wasn't. Kareem wasn't there. That team was led in points by James Worthy. That was an okay finals team, not a great finals team. So
now on December 29, 2016, first things first, the silly narrative that MJ only beat the Pistons when they got old is nonsense, because we can look at the build-up years to that sweep. MJ and the Bulls were creeping up and lost in 7 the year before to the Pistons. So to say the Pistons just suddenly got old, especially when their best player Isaiah Thomas was 29, Joe Dumars was 27, Bill Laimbeer was 33, and Dennis Rodman was 29, along with Mark Aguirre being 31. The average age of those that starting set right there was 29.8. So you really couldn't make that argument. Now, you could make the argument that they had accumulated tread on those tires from so many finals runs in years prior, which was 3, as well as deep postseason play. But don't lie and say they just got old. All right, now he did say that Jordan, when he beat the Lakers in the finals, the team had James Worthy as their leading scorer, which is true. However, judging by his tone, he made it sound like James Worthy was some guy at Walmart who got invited for a pickup game. Now, James Worthy was a former NCAA champ and as a supposed best player on a team with MJ on it at North Carolina. He was the #1 pick in the NBA draft, and he was a former Finals MVP with a team that had Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on it in 1988. In those finals, over those same bad boy Pistons, they used to beat up on Michael, so let's not act like James Worthy was Otto Porter. I also wanted to highlight that this same Nick Wright who vouches so hard for LBJ is the same Nick Wright who definitively stated in 2010-2011 that if you, really it's 2010, if you honestly think, end quote, if you honestly think LeBron is greater than KD, you're an idiot. KD is a 6'10" LeBron that can shoot, I mean seriously. I'm tired of the media overhyping LeBron, end quote. Now, for those who don't know, Kevin Durant's 4th year in the league was that year where he earned his 2nd consecutive scoring title. And he led the Thunder to a Western Conference Finals appearance, losing in 5 to the Mavericks, which did lend credence to this argument or this statement not being so outlandish at the time. But what it showed is that Nick Wright, like Colin Cowherd, does not even believe most of the smoke that he blows out here to the world. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but at one point, he did not believe a lot of the stuff that he spits out now. But you know what has changed? The amount of views he gets working at FS1. His check is very nice for being such a staple at their network. And I wouldn't be surprised if LBJ has him on the Clutch Sports payroll in some way, shape, or form. While I know people wanted me to go in on Nick Wright, he's just so outlandish with his statements that I think it speaks for itself. And he says a lot of things just for shock value to get clicks. That's okay though, because honestly, there are a lot of meatheads out here that love stimuli and just can't resist the urge to watch that kind of stuff all day. But hey, we all have our roles in this life, and that's just his. Yo, first off, shout out to Max Kellerman, the former lyricist. Rumble, young man, rumble. Hey, that man. Hey, man, but in all seriousness, Max Kellerman is the analytics wise guy who attempts to undercut Stephen A. Smith with mathematical logic and a wit for every question concerning basketball. However, this is really just a slippery analyst who is very good at changing narratives. Now, this guy, he put James Harden and Steve Nash, 2 pioneers of the game in regards to regular season dominance in the Western Conference, who have also both made Western Conference Finals appearances, in the same sentence as Jeremy Lin to make a point about Harden's rankings. Now, when asked about James Harden's rankings in comparison to LBJ, he said, stop, as if that was like, he's not close to LBJ in any way, shape, or form, when James Harden has led his team to multiple Western Conference Finals appearances and won the MVP last year over LeBron James. Now, he also made the point that the reason Harden can't rank with them is his defense is not in Greek Freaks, Kawhi's, or AD's league. Now, however, this is the same guy who promotes LeBron James, who was notorious of late for not playing defense and being last on his team in contesting shots per game despite having the most minutes at 35.3. Now, he states that playoff success is vital and important when AD has never made it past the second round and won his first playoff series last year, yet disrespects Harden using selective criteria, and a couple months later states that criticism for James Harden is just pure player hating. Isn't that just funny? Now, this guy also stated that Steph Curry has never shown himself to be an alpha in the finals. Because in 2015, while he wasn't spectacular, he was very good, putting up 26 points per game, 6 assists per game, and 5 rees, shooting 44% from the field and 38.5% from 3. But cats will swear on their life that Delly locked him up. Now, Curry played badly in Game 2, and nobody speaks, but I just think it's funny, man, that nobody speaks about him dropping 37 points in Game 5. Max Kellerman also tries to sit up there and act like LBJ never had any realistic expectations or shot at making the playoffs this year, when it was quite the contrary at the beginning of the season.
We know who the real heavyweights are in the West, 3 titles in 4 years. How far away now are the Lakers from Golden State?
They're 2 seasons. This season, they'll make the playoffs. They should advance. And if they get another piece, they should advance plenty. But they're not going to beat Golden State, I don't think, first year out. When LeBron signed this deal with the Lakers, here's the goal. And here's how it will be measured, either a success or a failure, period. You got 4 years, win a chip. 1 chip, 4 years. If you chip up 1 time in 4 years, it was a success. It was a bad franchise, a bad team. They had some young talent, but no.
I could have sworn that he so slickly put it to make it seem that the playoffs weren't expected, and that only rings are the goal, which is something that Stephen A. seems to catch as well, which is Max doing his usual slippery salesman tactics again, trying to change up what he said months before. Now, we must also discuss the Kevin Durant issue with Max Kellerman, where he clearly attempts to constantly undercut KD's greatness in many ways. The first being that the Golden State Warriors feared LeBron in any stretch of the imagination, which by logic is very difficult to say. This being that while, yes, they beat the Cavs in 2015 with a Kyrie and K Loveless Cavs, but when faced off in the 2016 finals, the Warriors went 7 games with a fully healthy Cavs squad where Curry was hurt, Bogut, the rim protecting stud, was hurt, Iggy was hurt, and Draymond Green was suspended for a game, and it still went the full 7 games. Trust me, there is not much of a fear factor there when you've had every handicap possible and still barely won that series. However, he clearly attempts to make it seem Like KD and the Warriors were in such utter fear of LeBron James that they made all of those moves.
Kevin Durant looked at LeBron, and so did the Golden State Warriors, and were like, what do we have to do to beat this guy? Maybe if we put that guy, Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players anyone's ever seen, on a 72-win team, maybe then we can beat LeBron James. So now they're acting tough. Now they feel they got their chest out because they stacked the deck ridiculous. I'm not saying anything wrong with it.
While I agree the 2016 finals was a bit traumatizing, let's not act like Golden State feared LeBron going into that series, when really it was more of a why not type of situation. Now, the last point I'm going to make on this analyst right here in regards to Kevin Durant is the blatant unleveling of the playing field when talking about a comparison.
I'm out.
He was that skilled.
Who's a more unstoppable, forget about scoring, forget about natural, forget about who it's easy for, who's a more unstoppable offensive player? It's a 5-on-5 game. LeBron James or Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant.
Incorrect.
Kevin Durant.
LeBron James
Kevin Durant.
is a
What are you watching?
far more unstoppable
What are you watching?
offensive player.
Far more unstoppable. That's a joke.
He said straight up, I lost it. I was watching this, saw this a couple months ago, showed it to you guys a couple months ago. I'm going to show it again. He said straight up, forget about scoring, forget about natural skill, forget about who it's easy for. Who's the more unstoppable offensive player? This man literally defined offense and then said, forget about the prime purpose of offense. Who was the more unstoppable player? This man basically in his first sentence killed his own premise of the argument, which should just show you at what great lengths these people will attempt to disarm the other party to promote their own. Regardless of whose pocket you're in, whose payroll you're on, as an analyst, you gotta do better, man. You gotta do better than this. And it's just blatantly ridiculous. The reason I showed this, even though I'm not gonna go too hard on each one of these guys and their biggest blundering statements, is what I wanted to show you is the vast ways that these people will attempt to make these points in the media. These same false points that are half-truths and alternative facts are what these meatheads flood these comments with. It's what these people use to argue in barbershops, and most importantly, it's what echoes throughout the time and to the current and next generation. It's gotta stop. It's gotta stop. While I was going to include Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, and many others like Broussard and Windhorse on this video, I thought that those first two, if anything, deserve their own separate videos to themselves, and all these other guys really shouldn't get lost in the mix of this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and can understand that now, while yes, you can enjoy the commentary on these shows for the entertainment value, but to not turn to them strictly for knowledge. You should always attempt to educate yourself and to never just take people's word for it at every junction. Please, I invite you all that if you like basketball, football, soccer, whatever, to watch the sport yourself. Go play the sport yourself, all right? Go watch it yourself. Go study tape. Go back and look at those old guys. Yes, there were people before this generation. There will be people who come after us who will say that Greek Freak was so leaps and bounds far ahead of LeBron James and that they weren't even in the same class. And you and I will both know that's just nonsense. But nobody's going to go do the homework. The way it's going right now, people, all they do is watch highlight tapes. And in highlight tapes, they never show you the full real deal because all they show you are the makes. They never show you the misses. They never show you in the holes in the game. They never show you a guy missing his switch. They never show you a guy not rolling properly, a guy not going for rebounds, a guy not contesting shots, etc., etc. This in of itself, man, just watching and playing the sport will give you so much more of an understanding as to the value of each of these players, coaches, great organizations, bad organizations, who is really important in the criticalness of thinking outside of a box score. We must be able to put things into context and hold others, but more importantly, ourselves accountable. Now, I invite anybody who is not to go ahead and follow me on Twitter at TheBlackRangerX and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't by now to get that hot NBA content delivered fresh to your mobile device. Now, you already know to never be mad at me, but to be mad at yourself for being an underachiever. Play the outro.